All right, what's up, Potter Watch? This is the Harry Potter Phantology special crew here with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Book 7, Part 1 episodes. We finally decided to split up these rather long episodes into two parts, probably something that should have been happening since Book 4. So we're only going to cover up until, spoilers for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, but we're only going to cover up until Dobby's death, which is when the movies split. Actually turns out to be maybe a good decision on their part, like a good point at least of where to split the movies. So that is that's what's going on for this episode. You can tune into part 2 episode, which will come out whenever we record it. So who knows when, to be honest. But
Hey,
Nathan and Dan,
soon,
yeah, Nathan and Dan, you guys are pumped for part 1 at least, right?
Yeah, for sure. This is my favorite all-time of Harry Potter books out there. Super stoked. Read this book probably about at least 30 times. So I'm way excited.
Wait, guys, before we go any further, I got to ask you a question. Where did we eat last Friday or Saturday? No, Saturday. Where did we eat last Saturday? Before we can continue this podcast, I need to verify your identities.
Where did we?
What food did we have last Saturday?
Just some pizza or something?
No, we did not have pizza.
No, we had Chipotle.
Who's this guy posing as Steven?
Oh yeah, hey, it was Chipotle. I remember the Chipotle.
I would have already cast a Vada Kedavra on you 10 seconds ago, Steven. If this is for real. That was a very basic question.
We had Chipotle. Chipotle ordering online was exceedingly difficult because they didn't allow you to enter your gift card in unless you had an account, which is not something that was made obvious. And then I guess the pickup was like way long with all the
they're in high demand. They have delicious burritos, but there was no excuse for I think it was a 7:15 was the notice that we got for expected pickup. Didn't get it till 7:45.
Yeah, and then
almost missed an important game.
Almost.
So now that we're done bad mouthing Chipotle, who I guess is our sponsor for this episode, let's roll into part 1. So Nathan, I gotta follow up on this though. 30 times? Is that accurate? Is that number? Times. Is that plus or minus 20? What, 30? Seriously?
No, that may be plus or minus like 5, but this is like my all-time favorite. Like if I ever need a book to read, or if I'm ever just bored, I'll just pick it up and just like read it.
And just read the whole thing or read like the first chapter?
No, I'll read bits and parts of it, like my favorite
just
parts.
Open it wherever and read whatever happens to strike you. Hey, have you considered reading other books?
No, right now I'm making my way through Words of Radiance. I'm halfway
Wait, weren't
through.
you making your way through Words of Radiance like 2 years ago?
No, not 2 years ago. No, I'm halfway through, midway through Words of Radiance.
Yeah, Nathan, you realize that there have been, I mean, it's good that you're starting to read other books, but for several years, decades, there have been other books. It's not like you're stranded in the wilderness with just Beatles and Bard, and that's the only book you have to read. There's lots of other options.
I know there's other options. I also had finals this week, so I had to deal with that. So I couldn't really read a lot, but I mean, I have read other books besides Harry Potter.
Well, if there's any detail in this episode that you are not 100% confident in, then that is very suspect.
No, everything I say, I'll be 100% confident.
Yeah, audience, please track Nathan's accuracy. Here, we need in the presidential debates, we need a live fact checker on all of this since we have a proclaimed expert here. All right, so let's roll into the review. And before we do so, if you want to see or hear more from Phantology, you can do that at www.phantologybooks.com. Our full episode catalog is up there. We're almost up to 100 episodes. In fact, by the time this is released, we may be past 100 episodes. So, huzzah for Phantology. Yeah, big year. Got to the century mark, and we're rolling on. We have big plans for 2021, which we talk about in some other episodes. And if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/Phantology_books. Okay, so to start off
Yeah, and speaking of only reading one book, how about all of Fantology's Rhythm of War content lately? Just killing it with all that. Anyway, you can continue. Sorry.
Are you trying to say we're doing too much? Are you just real pumped about
No,
Rhythm of
just
War?
the perfect amount.
Yeah, I thought
The
so
second
too.
one, I'm pumped about Rhythm of War.
Yeah, Dan, how many pages into the Stormlight Archive have you read
I
since
have
we were
read.
giving Nathan a bad time?
I haven't read into any pages, but I have
Yeah.
listened to bits and pieces. I think, as Nathan said.
Hmm. All
Hey,
right, so we
I got
we
time this
know what
summer.
now that we're finishing up Harry Potter, we know what series Dan and Nathan need to focus on
That's right.
next. Yeah, we got to keep the
Yeah.
crew together for some more reviews. Okay, so typically we kind of do this where we go talk through different characters and we break down some exciting things from them, how they performed throughout the course of the book. Keep in mind, we do want to keep it to everything before Malfoy
Yeah.
Manor and Dobby dying. So try to keep that straight. It may be a little difficult because obviously the resolution to the book ties in a lot of the character arcs. But should we start with Harry Potter?
Yeah, I was thinking this. It's going to be hard because the book obviously focuses so much on the trio, on Harry, Ron, and Hermione. I don't
Yeah.
know how many details we're going to have on some of the more minor characters. Now
Until
that
the end of the book, for sure.
yeah, I mean, we could still talk about Dumbledore even though he's dead, because we get more details on him in this book than we do in any other.
Dumbledore is on my list.
Good list,
I-
Steven.
We could also start with Voldemort since it kind of starts there. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
All right, Nathan, why don't you going straight to the Dark Lord? Okay, let's do it. We'll have plenty of time to get to Harry.
Oh yeah, thanks for being flexible, host. Nathan, I'm expecting some good takes on Voldemort right now.
All right, 30-time reader, tell us what your takes are on Voldemort in part one.
So in part one, so I felt like Voldemort was very. I felt like he was a little bit too cautious. Just because he still had a lot of the Horcruxes left, right, in the first part of the book. Why didn't he actively? I don't know. He could have actively be seeking after Harry. In the first part, he does that when they have the whole chase scene, right?
Right.
He goes and he kills Mad-Eye Moody and he chases after Harry after he finds him. But I felt like, I don't know. I just felt like after that, you never hear Voldemort, what he's doing or anything like that.
Yeah,
well, we do. I mean, we get the flashbacks, or not the flashbacks. We get the flashes from Harry looking into his mind.
He's taking over the ministry and stuff like that. But why isn't he sending out more? Unless Harry, Ron, and Hermione are like the ultimate, like we're just gonna run away, no one's ever gonna find us. Unless they're just the best wizards at doing that. But I feel like Voldemort could easily find Harry somehow. Put some tracker spell on him or something.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is,
eventually.
He does two different times. He does on their attempted escape from the Dursleys, and he also does in Godric's Hollow through Nagini. He just can't seem to get the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, but like at the very beginning, but like he kind of figured that Harry would go back to Godric's Hollow at some point. But he didn't really find him. Harry found Voldemort. And he wasn't even Voldemort at that.
I mean, I guess there was no way, right? Like Harry and Hermione, really Hermione was able to hide themselves well enough, and I think they did a good enough job. It was believable. I mean, they were Grimmauld Place for a while, and there's a magical reason why Voldemort couldn't find them there, and then they were hopping around, and I think it was okay. I mean, Voldemort was certainly doing other things at the same time. He was trying to solve the whole wand issue, and like you say, he went after him straight away at the beginning of the book. He was going to take down Harry Potter, and then Harry Potter's wand did something crazy
and magical.
And he was he after that he was shook, right? Yeah,
very very the boy who lived-esque that escaped death once again just by the wand saving him.
If you Google something like how did Harry, the next thing that will be suggested on Google is how did Harry Potter's wand save him or shoot off the fire or whatever.
Yeah, it's a big question.
This scene, this was I still don't I mean, I get it. It is explained, right? It's like, oh, well, they were brother wands
Like he
and
wasn't
whatever.
Voldemort wasn't using his wand.
Right, and I guess it's because of the connection between Harry and Voldemort and the Horcrux. I feel like you have to take a pretty big leap here magically in order to understand this, because it's really just like all plot armor. I don't
Yeah,
like this.
I'm willing to overlook this. I think a cool part of this is that Voldemort can actually fly without a broom. I want more of an explanation on that superpower.
Yeah, but that's done in book 5. Or at
Oh, it
least
is?
the
In what part?
movie. In
Oh,
the fight at the Ministry.
That
yeah.
sounds familiar. I can't remember exactly though. Why
Anyway, can
does
I?
why does he really need to? You see him like flying from place to place. Why doesn't he just apparate? Why do you even fly? Why not do like a teleportation, like pop around?
Well, he
What?
probably had apparated to the place, but when he was in pursuit, he had started flying.
Yeah, because he had to apparate to where Harry was. He couldn't fly there that fast.
Well, if you're flying, you're chasing, right? So why couldn't he just apparate directly to Harry Potter?
Well, he did. He probably did because the fight was above, like right above the Dursley's house and around London, right?
Well, no,
But
I know
Harry
that he
had
apparated
escaped.
to the location, but he's chasing Harry Potter. Harry Potter is like 100 meters in front of him. Why doesn't he just apparate to Harry, right on the
Oh,
motorbike?
okay. I get what you're
Oh,
saying. Maybe it's hard to apparate when you're going full speed.
Yeah, maybe
Like
maybe
to
the
his
physics
place.
are
maybe
difficult.
chances of splinching are increased greatly.
Hmm. Yeah, okay, we should maybe
Yeah, that
stop
could be.
picking the magic apart, but it is kind of fun.
Wait, I want to push back on Nathan's thing. I'm still not really understanding what Nathan's complaint about Voldemort is. Like, I think I think he was working nonstop. I think he did all of his due diligence. We hear stuff about how he was like interrogating all of the members of the Order of the Phoenix, trying to get into Harry's whereabouts. But like Hermione specifically, the whole group, but specifically Hermione, they left no breadcrumbs at all for him to really follow. Like none of the other members knew where they
Well,
were. She had all the charms. And I mean, he was doing the wand stuff, but he was looking for them, I think. My
besides
complaint with Voldemort.
Remus,
What do you
I
mean
mean,
besides Remus?
he
Oh, that
did.
he knew that they were gone? Yeah.
Well, he knew where they were at Grimmauld Place, and then he also found them in, I guess, part 2. At
Yeah, we can't go there.
yeah, we can't talk about that, but I mean, it quite like if we're talking about magic, and I mean, I guess it's a bit more of like a hit on the magic. Like, why isn't there like a tracker spell? Like, find something that
I mean,
belonged to
they put the
Harry.
trace. The trace was kind of cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they haven't invented the tracker spell yet, right? That's part of using magic in a book. You can create the rules and then they abide by those rules. And J.K. Rowling has the advantage, I guess, in each of her books. She can basically invent new magical things like, oh, we have the Deathly Hollows and they're gonna save the day. Or we've got, now these different spells. We've got the Polyjuice Potion comes in book 2. So she's writing the book. She chose to not put in a tracker spell. She easily could have, but that's just how Harry Potter works. There's some things they can't do, some things they can't do.
Yeah,
That's what we call a soft magic
that's
system.
true.
Nathan.
So here's my complaint
Okay.
about Voldemort. Why didn't he just make one of the Horcruxes totally inaccessible? Like, why do they even have to be like, I guess, why does anyone have to be able to find the Horcruxes? Can he banish them to some location that is never going to be touched
Well,
by any wizard? And he kind of tried to do that with the cave, but like the one that I have the biggest problem with is the diadem, which is in the second part. But I guess my biggest complaint with Voldemort is that he didn't put more protections on the Horcruxes. Once he realized that Harry and the crew were clearly going after the Horcruxes, just to put some extra barriers in place there.
Well, he did. I
How
felt like
so?
once he knew that Harry was going after the Horcruxes, I felt like he did because I mean, I don't really want to go into part 2, but just what happens after he finds out that Harry's going to Hogwarts and the protection that he puts there with Snape and the Carrows and then just protecting Nagini more.
A little bit. I mean, he does let Umbridge wear the locket, but maybe he doesn't understand what's going on with the locket.
I don't think he knows the locket is with Umbridge.
Yeah, it's got to be that.
Yeah, there's no way he does. I'm just saying, why doesn't he bury it 100 feet in the ground in some random spot? Because it's not a spot important to him.
Maybe, I mean, we've seen like the ability to trace things magically. So yeah, maybe if it's in a place with no protection at all, then there's the chance that it's stumbled upon, or they find, traces of magic and they can find something here. I don't know.
I don't think Horcruxes, you can use them. Like you have the Accius, but in the book, they couldn't use that to bring the Horcruxes to them.
Well, sure. Like there are definitely some things they could do, but we've seen Dumbledore be able to like find magical traces when he's finding the cave with Harry. It's like,
that's what I thought
the
of.
Magic here.
Oh, yeah,
it would have to be a really high-powered wizard to be able to find the location of a Horcrux.
Certainly not Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
yes, it is convenient that these are notable locations and exciting locations, and this is, the way the crew is able to track down the Horcruxes. Yeah, I agree. That might be a little bit of plot armor as well.
Like if the last Horcrux wasn't at Hogwarts, would the final battle take place like just on a random field somewhere?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One other bit of plot armor was the whole thing around the trace of Voldemort's name. It's really convenient that they just stopped saying Voldemort. Like they didn't know that there was a trace until later on when Ron came back, and they just went into saying, who. I don't remember. Was there a reason why they did that, or did it just happen?
I think it just happened. So, but it was very convenient for them.
Very convenient.
I kind of thought that thing was cool because it was a really simple way of discerning between Death Eaters, or obviously like people that were scared to death of Voldemort, and then people that were brave enough to confront him. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that part of it.
Yeah, good strategy. Good strategy. Voldemort is doing stuff.
Yeah, but he's got to be so frustrated, especially after the scene leaving the Dursleys. You have like, how many times can the guy slip through your fingers? And just knowing that you're the most powerful wizard that's ever lived, and like the guy has to be beside himself.
So thinking about that scene, I thought it was an awful plan. I mean, it was kind of a smart idea to have like the 7 Potters, but awful plan by whoever thought that idea up. Why didn't they just put Harry in a car and just drive him somewhere?
Because that's not how wizards
Voldemort's
think.
Not going to expect
Wizards don't think in that way. Wizards are all about using magic, right?
But
they don't even know how to use
Harry grew up in the Muggle world.
Yeah, but Harry had zero input on the plan.
Mudblood.
Harry just showed up and they said, "Harry, do this," and he's like, "Okay."
Yeah,
I don't know. I just felt like they could have thought about using some sort of teleportation that wouldn't cause harm in any way. Like, obviously, transporting 7 Harry Potters is going to cause some harm to some people.
I'm actually going to agree with Nathan on this one. I tried to find a hole in this argument, but it's with the Death Eaters on patrol. I don't think they would have expected a Muggle transportation at all. I'm kind of with Nathan on this one and just doing the old school car.
But that's risky, right?
Like,
because
why didn't Harry just get in the car with the Dursleys?
Well, they're watching. I mean, I suspect there's some way they could have. I agree and I disagree a little bit. But the disagreement is that we're dealing with wizards who are used to using magic to solve their problems, so they're not going to think of doing that. And this is a way where they can have like a fairly good outcome. It's risky, but at the same time, it's also exciting for the reader. I think it checks a lot of boxes with the Harry Potter brand. I mean, yeah, it leaves them open to an attack, but they also didn't expect them to know when it was happening either. They didn't expect Snape would have given up that information to Voldemort. They were surprised.
So I read this right after watching a football game, and I envisioned in my mind like a 7 option read option play where the quarterback does a fake handoff to 7 different running backs and they
Wow.
all get tackled. And then the one that actually has the ball is the one that kind of escapes.
So it's like on a
Wow.
kickoff, every now and then they all come together and they do the old like hidden ball trick and they all spread apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like that. Are we transitioning away from Voldemort? Because I have more things I could say about this. I thought it was really smart that they had Hagrid be the one to transport Harry. And I thought it was Hagrid's finest moment in all of the series combined.
When he jumped off of the motorbike
Yeah,
and
I
into
I thought it was really brave by Hagrid. And well, he had prepared ahead. He had put all the gizmos on the motorbike and he was prepared to fend off the Death Eaters for a little bit. Like I was
Sure,
not
yeah.
expecting that from him.
Yeah, that was very. I mean, that was a good plan there to put because they would expect Harry to go with like their best wizard, right? And so to put Harry with Hagrid, who can perform basically
Basically, yeah.
little to no magic, and
Yeah.
then
He's good at being nice to animals.
Yeah, and they to put him on a motorcycle instead of a broom, which everyone thought that Harry would be on a broom.
and it was kind of a fun
I thought that
callback
was a
to
good
the
part of
motorbike
the
at the
plan.
beginning of the series when Hagrid rescues Harry.
Yeah, definitely a parallel.
Yeah.
Very first scene of the first book, right? Comes in on Sirius's bike. I'm assuming it was the same bike, although I don't remember
Yeah.
that detail exactly.
Yeah, same bike.
Yeah. Okay. He does, however, like abandon Harry to Voldemort, but I guess he
As-
did all he could.
I think he did all he could. There's
Yeah,
only so
Hagrid
only so much
can't
he
stand
could've
up to
done.
Voldemort. What's
Yeah.
Hagrid gonna do against Voldemort?
The biggest flaw that I saw in the plan, like what is this dude Mundungus doing around the order? Like, what is this dude? He's just this con artist, grifter, like not brave at all. Like, how is he continuing to get like valuable reps in one of the biggest operations that the order's ever tried to pull off? There's got to be some
a good
good
point.
wizards around there to take a
You
spot.
know,
Like,
when you
how
bring
many
that
chances? Yeah.
Dan, when you bring that up, that and you bringing up the football, it just reminds me of number 82 on BYU football getting valuable reps against Coastal Carolina, running the ball 10 yards backwards.
Okay, that's a deep.
That's what it reminds me of.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Mundungus Fletcher is Chris Jackson.
I mean, he does. He leaves, right? He apparates, and he basically just lets Voldemort kill the Order's best wizard.
Yeah,
with
that's
Mad-Eye Moody.
So
Not the best
huge
wizard.
loss for the Order.
Disagree. Not the best wizard.
Whoa.
Kingsley way better.
Okay.
Kingsley probably has the best style.
Kingsley's in his prime, but don't you think Moody,
Yeah.
Moody is comparable in his prime?
Didn't have no feelings for Moody.
Well, I don't have any feelings for Moody either, but he's
was
more
fine with him dying.
competent compared to some other Order members. Like, don't you trust Moody better? In a
Not
battle against
necessarily.
Death Eaters, you don't?
I mean, we've barely even seen the real Moody. I mean, I guess we do, but
We've heard the stories.
Yeah, but from what we know
You've
about him,
heard the
book
stories
story,
from Dumbledore.
he's totally paranoid, and Moody kind of represents this conflict between Harry and the Order, which is a large part of the previous book and this book, where they just continue to not trust him to do anything as a younger wizard. They don't bring him in on the
That's
Seven
true.
Potters plan. They're just like, Harry, be a good boy, go do this. They want to protect him. Lupin's trying to tag along. They don't have the same faith in Harry that Dumbledore does, and Harry pushes back on this big time. And Moody kind of represents that in this scene. And I think maybe him dying was a little representative of the shift then from Harry and Hermione and Ron, then taking off after the wedding.
Well, you knew that they were going to take off no matter what. But I mean, you got to feel like Mad-Eye Moody, he was Dumbledore's like one of his best friends, right? Back when they're young guys in their prime.
I mean, I guess.
Both Aurors. And you got to feel like Mad-Eye Moody's got to know some spells that can do some serious damage against the Death Eaters.
Yeah, never really seen it though. Not convinced on Mad-Eye Moody.
And he
Mad-Eye
does
Moody.
get taken down by Crouch too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't care personally really for Moody when he died. Like, I don't know if he had any family or anyone. The Order seemed pretty shook up about it. Harry seemed a little bit shook up about it, but kind of got over it. But it was more so like, I feel like the whole first half of the book is just one domino after another of negative momentum, that's kind of building up. Like, more and more crappy things happen. Voldemort is slowly growing more and more powerful, and this is just kind of the first big thing that happens. So
So you got to think back at book 6, right? And Dumbledore is now dead, right? And so
right,
everything is looking like everything's just going down for Harry, right? He's got this huge hill, huge mountain that he has to climb, right? And now at the beginning of the book, Mad Eye Moody, one of the orders, whether he was a good wizard, okay wizard, it doesn't really matter. I mean, their numbers are
really few.
slowly very few. And so, and now add that onto there. They don't know any of the Horcruxes are. I mean, the very first half of this book is very kind of depressing.
It's looking
how
bleak.
is Harry gonna win?
Yeah, we're to continue the football. We're getting into like 4th and 20 type downs here.
Nice, Steven. Yeah. All this is a long way to say Munungus sucks. He's never done anything good. Yeah.
So the next domino to fall is the wedding, the wedding disaster. And out of 10, how irresponsible is it for them to hold this large public event of wanted Order wizards at a time when Death Eaters are just roaming around? Like, aren't they just putting everyone like here ripe for picking, including Harry Potter?
I guess. Yeah.
This is a terrible
I give it a
choice.
6 out of 10.
Listen,
No,
guys,
this is 10 out of 10 irresponsibility.
I give it a 6.
I'm just saying, if COVID was a thing back then, no one at this wedding would be wearing masks because they're just not about that life. They have no care for safety.
The thing is, they didn't find out about the wedding until after the Ministry fell, because the Ministry knew where Harry was.
Yeah, that's true. They did think that it was going to be a little bit protected. Steven, by the way, nice zinger so far. Yeah, but what went into this planning? Like, hey guys, we're currently protecting the #1 renegade in the whole world. After, let's have a party, and not only let's have a party, let's invite everyone that we know. Let's spare no invites. Let's invite people from other countries. Let's invite Victor Crumb, who we barely know. We know from a competition we had in our youth at school.
Victor Crumb showing up that was so weird.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. The reason why I only give it a 6 out of 10 on irresponsibility is just because the Voldemort and the Death Eaters didn't really know where Harry was, even if the wedding had gone on, until after the Ministry of Magic came to to read the will of Dumbledore to Harry. If he didn't show up, I'm sure the Death Eaters wouldn't have shown up.
Well, shouldn't they have realized, okay, people know this is, like, it's not top secret. The information is out there. It is possible to piece this together. Voldemort is very smart. It seems like a bad, like, you got to cancel, right? I mean, at some point you cancel. Canceling things is very easy. We've learned this year. So this easily could have been canceled.
I don't know. I feel like this wedding needs to happen because it gives them a time to just relax, enjoy themselves before they know they have to go out and
this should have been a Zoom wedding. This should have been a Zoom wedding.
The wedding is just an info dump. It's a way to get an info dump on Voldemort and start peeling back those, or not on Voldemort, sorry, on Dumbledore.
On Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But I love how the reason why they feel so confident that Harry can slide by undetected through the wedding is that they're just going to throw another redhead kid out there. They're going to make him a redhead kid. And nobody really knows the difference between the Weasleys anyway. So nobody's going to even think twice about it.
They don't question it. They tell him he's their cousin or something.
It's like Barmy or something. Are they dissing themselves in this move to say no one cares about our family to the point where we can just add in extra people and no one will care. No one will know.
I think they have a big family. It's possible. I love how Luna walks straight up to Harry and says, like, "Hi, Harry."
Hi, Harry.
Nice outfit. What did she say?
And then Harry, yeah, or something like that. And then Harry just tells the other guy that knew
Xenophilius.
Dumbledore. I forgot his name. Yeah,
Oh,
that
then-
he was Harry
wait.
Potter.
You didn't catch his name in any of your 30 readings?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. What's his name,
Wait,
Nathan?
because I know his name,
His last,
and I've
I
read the
know
book
his
twice.
last name.
What's his name?
Doge.
I
Oh,
know
I
his
actually-
last name. Yeah, Dan just giving it away. But he just told him like, "Hey, I'm Harry."
Elphius Doge.
Yeah,
something like that?
Elphius. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Elphius Doge and Auntie Muriel swapping stories about Dumbledore.
And
Just
Crumb,
like the old days.
Crumb and Xenophilius coming in with it was a lot of info dump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe honestly, like maybe not my favorite. I can see a lot of issues with the beginning of this book. So it's a little sloppy, maybe.
Also, it seems like we're transitioning to just going through the plot. Are we going back to the characters at any point?
It's just open season. It's
It's
open
just
season.
open season.
Open season right now. Hey, so as you guys know,
Wait.
all throughout the first 6 books that we've reviewed, right? All throughout the 6 podcasts, I've been a huge Harry
Ron
and
hater.
Hermione and Ron hater, right?
Yeah, you're shipping Harry and Hermione.
okay.
You're hating on Ron. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
but-
say with Crumb, this is a good opportunity to talk about Ron a little bit. But yeah, go for it.
But in this, before the wedding, there's a scene where Harry and Jeannie are in Jeannie's room, right? I will say this is one
Ooh
of
la la.
this is one of the few moments where I will ship everyone, Harry and Jeannie, besides Harry and Hermione. One of
Oh,
the
you were into
moments.
the makeout. You were into
Wait,
the makeout.
No,
is that-
but just because you gotta. So
Hey, Nathan,
let me
No, no.
rewind too. a little
Yeah,
bit.
Harry, get some.
I can tell you're really into the makeout because your voice is getting louder. Because you're getting
No,
closer to your
no.
mic, I think.
As I read this book and just look back upon this series and everything, I will say that Harry and Hermione are better couple in the movies than and Harry and Ginny are a better couple in the books.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair take.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just everyone out there, because some people that listen to the podcast that have told
Oh, you've
me,
got some hate. You've got some hate.
yeah,
It sounds like.
on especially on the Weasleys, because everyone just loves the Weasleys.
Uh-huh.
But I'm just gonna throw that out there that Harry and Hermione are better in the movies, and Harry and Ginny are better in the books.
Possibly because of the makeout here.
You know that there are
That's what
Harry
I'm
and Ginny
concluding.
makeout scenes in the movie also.
Yeah, but again, Ron doesn't do anything in the entire series, and Ginny doesn't do anything really besides like book 5 and 6.
Wait, Ginny's cool.
Yeah,
Ginny's
Ginny
way
does
cool.
a lot in the books. We've discussed this. Anyway, I don't know
Ginny's,
where you're going
Ginny's
with this,
appeared in the
Nathan.
top 3. Yeah, I think I think maybe you tried to defend yourself. I don't know how successful you were. I'll give Ron some points for breaking up the makeout session because it probably shouldn't have happened with, the way that everything was going, because Harry, they decided that they weren't going to do this and Harry's putting himself in mortal danger. And so, yeah, props for Ron for a good big brother moment here.
Yeah, should we talk more about Ron then? Throughout the whole first half of the book, or
Keep it going with
what do you
Ron.
think, Chris?
Ron
Okay,
was a bit of a roller coaster up and down.
Yeah, Ron was a bit of a roller coaster. I honestly need to hear your guys' thoughts on how well. Obviously, we're going to do our character power rankings at the end of the podcast, right?
We are. We
Right.
are indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that Ron, he doesn't have a lot of standout moments in this book, but obviously the biggest standout moment is when he pieces out. But how much blame are we giving him for that? Because really he is excluded from a lot of the plans. He's not, he's kind of dumb, but he's not clueless. Like, he knows that he's not providing much value to the group,
Yeah.
and that's got to be frustrating for him. And the locket is doing its thing on his morale. And so I don't blame him fully for leaving.
I blame him.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's
I,
what
I 100% blame him.
I need to hear your guys' thoughts.
I give Ron 100% of the blame. because Hermione and Harry were also wearing the locket at one point or another. And I mean, Hermione could have left at any point in time. Harry could have flipped out and just left on his own. I mean, Ron is 100% to blame here.
So I think you're onto something there a little bit, Dan, when you say he was frustrated because he wasn't bringing anything to the group and it was a hard time, and that not being involved in the locket. Like there's reasons for this, but I think he could have preemptively done some stuff here to avoid getting to the point where he felt like he had to leave. I mean, if you're not involved, let's pick it up a little bit and figure out how you can contribute, dude.
Yeah, the communication's lacking. I got you there.
As with most fantasy books, especially Harry Potter, they struggle to communicate every now and then. It's kind of a book thing. Sometimes you need that element to the plot. But another thing here is this is like the first time that Ron has ever experienced anything that's like physically discomforting because his mom isn't around to help him, and he's not at Hogwarts where all of his needs are taken care of. So he's off in the wilderness here with the tent and Hermione's magic bag, and he struggles, right? Because honestly, like, he's a little bit of a wimp, and Harry and Hermione have dealt with this a little more, being
they're in their element.
Yeah,
they love the problem solving.
It's very much their thing, and Ron, this alienates him even more, excludes him even more from it. So there's reasons why, but at the same time, I see this as maybe an opportunity for him to grow and kind of get up to their level, and he fails spectacularly.
Yeah, also why do they always have to wear the locket? Can't they just put it in the bag? Like, they put it back in the bag later in the movie.
Yeah, I guess they're just worried
later
about
in the
it.
book. When they come back from Godric Hollow, they put it in the bag. So why can't they just put it in the bag and just worry about it later?
Do people often compare this to Lord of the Rings? They probably do, right?
Yeah,
it's
the ring. I mean, it's basically the ring.
Yeah, it's basically Sam and Frodo's journey, but instead of Gollum, you have this like awkward teenage redhead kid. Is the third member of the traveling crew.
But he does come back. He does come back, though, right? So
he comes back in a big way. Definitely,
he redeems himself for sure. He comes back, gives Harry a replacement wand, and then kills the Horcrux, and also saves Harry from the frozen lake.
Yeah, big moment, big positive moment after the big negative moment. I think it's interesting that Dumbledore preemptively planned for this. Well, I guess every plan is preemptive, but he anticipated something would happen to this effect where he gave Ron the Deluminator in order to give him another chance. And it speaks to Dumbledore's character of always having trust and hope and faith that love will prevail. And so as soon as Ron left, he wanted to come back, wasn't able to, and Dumbledore provided him a way to. So that was a really nice thing.
Yeah, because Dumbledore, what he anticipated was that he was sending these kids out on a 99% hopeless shot in the dark quest that hopefully they could somehow come out on the other side having killed all the Horcruxes. And he knew that Ron was going to lose hope at some point because, like Steven said, he is a wimp. So he knew that Ron was going to need the Deluminator to find his friends again. Really ace. Good job anticipating by Dumbledore, because that's a lot of steps.
I mean, it is hinted in other books, like in book 4, when Ron becomes jealous of Harry for being in the tournament, so he leaves him, right? And then book 6.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we've seen the trio have issues, so no surprise at all.
But I think other than that moment, Ron doesn't really do anything, does he? In the whole first half of the book, he does participate in the break-in at the Ministry, but his role isn't as important. He does a little bit. The other note that I have is whenever they first leave the wedding and those Death Eaters somehow are able to follow them, is it Dolohov and the other guy? And Ron, Ron is able to protect Hermione heroically and has a little moment there. But other than that, I mean, especially compared to Harry and Hermione, the dude, like, very forgettable performance in the book, because Harry and Hermione all over the place. doing cool stuff. Not so much Ron.
Yeah, I mean, he's willing to be the fake Harry as well, one of the 7 Potters. Maybe that's notable. Probably took some courage there. Yeah, looking through my notes, that's pretty much it for Ron in the first half.
Okay, next character.
All right, Hermione.
Oh man, I got a lot on this.
Okay,
I got
so Hermione starts off really showing her dedication to what's going on here when she enchants her parents
yeah.
and basically erases all trails of her life. Like that was not nothing.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding. When
huge.
Nathan was talking about the Harry leaving with the Dursleys, I wondered why Hermione's parents couldn't have gone with the Dursleys. She could have just told him what was going on, and I think they would have gone with it. It was maybe her dad just didn't want to leave the dentist practice behind. Like maybe business was booming. He had
Yeah. Like, why protect the Dursleys? Like, out of all people.
they should just be sacrificed.
They should just die.
Well, what have they throughout the whole series? Like, they didn't have.
Hey,
help
at the end,
Harry in any way.
at the end, Dudley
Yeah.
says that maybe he respects Harry a little bit.
Yeah. And Dudley's grown a little bit over time. But, like,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're
the
right.
whole series, they don't do anything. So why
Yeah,
protect them over, like, Harry's or Hermione's parents?
Well, Hermione's parents are protected. They're just protected in a different way. Look, I mean, this is kind of going back to the conflict here between Dumbledore and love and trust and the goodness of people versus Voldemort, who inspires fear in his followers, and that's the only way he gets any loyalty. And so, of course, we're going to protect the Dursleys because they are, valuable people. Every life has value. Is what the conflict centers around.
Do you guys think it would have been cool if Dudley would have given Harry some kind of parting gift? Like he gives him, is it like he puts a cup of tea outside of his room? That's what it is.
Uh-huh.
And would it have been cool if he gave him some kind of gadget or something to remember him by, and it played a key role in the plot later on?
That'd be cool.
I think that would have been
Some
way
kind
cool
of-
if
some kind of
Dudley had
Muggle thing.
contributed. Yeah.
Like I don't
That
like
would be
what?
fun too, because they could just describe it as some Muggle thing that no one understands what it is, and the reader, exactly what it is. I can't think of an example offhand right now, but then when it finally does the thing that we all know it should as Muggle readers, then it's awesome. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
Well, he does have the quote when he's talking to Harry. He says, "I don't think you're a waste of space." After his parents, or after Vernon, basically was like, "Well, why did we protect you over all these years and everything?" And
maybe he should have given him a boxing glove and then punched someone in the face with it.
Harry doesn't need boxing gloves, man. He does it just raw knuckles.
Maybe his wand is taken away, and during the time at Malfoy Manor, he's able to don the boxing glove and punch Malfoy in the face or something. This is for Dudley.
It's like a toy lightsaber or something, but all the wizards are confused and they think it's some kind of unknown magic.
All
And
right, so going off of Hermione a little bit more, so a big part of her is this research into the Horcruxes, and then later on the Hallows, although that's more on the Harry side. Harry's able to figure that out really quickly and really well. But what did you guys think of the whole, maybe this is where we talk about the whole Hallows thing. Hallows versus Horcruxes. Hallows are entirely new to this book. I struggle with this a little bit because it's the 7th and final book of the series. And so to bring in a new thing and be like, oh, this is the thing. Like this is the big thing that's going to save the day. And you haven't heard of it in any of the previous 6 books, but now it's huge. And so learn all about it and make sure it's important. Like I struggle with that a little bit. I'm like, the Hallows, I mean, what? This is brand new. I don't care about these.
I mean, I wouldn't consider them brand new. I mean, the name certainly is. Like,
yeah,
the
but
Deathly Hallows.
Sure, like the objects have existed, mostly the invisibility cloak, but we had no idea that was anything extra special until this book.
Yeah, but that's why I don't think it's such a big deal, just because you knew of the invisibility cloak. You kind of knew Dumbledore had the Elder Wand when they kind of described it. You knew that he had it at some point in time.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that in other series, this would have been foreshadowed back in like the first, second, third books, whatever, like all the way through. There's like, oh, these Hallows things, and like no one says that much about them, but later on they become more and more important. Then finally in the seventh book, it's like, oh my gosh, these are the things, and it's super
Agreed.
exciting and really fun as a reader.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I think the Hollows and Horcruxes work together really well, and the ending of the book is very satisfying for how Harry's actually able to eventually defeat Voldemort. But I agree with Steven that we needed a mention, especially of the Resurrection Stone. That seems way too important for no one to know about it or ever mention it. There are a few things like this that J.K. Rowling reveals only when they come up in Harry, Ron, and Hermione circles, but surely other wizards in the community have been talking about them. There have to be books talking about them. And I mean, enough people knew about the Deathly Hallows that they shouldn't have just faded into this total like fable type.
Yeah. Like, don't you think that Harry would have like researched like the invisibility cloak when he got it?
No,
Like,
not
yeah,
really.
something.
Harry
No.
Harry doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Well,
Or-
what's he gonna
or
do?
maybe
There's no way to,
Hermione.
there's no way to search for things if you're a wizard. You can't Google it. You have to wade through
I mean,
hundreds of
Hermione
thousands of
spends her
pages. of
time in the
books.
library, so wouldn't like at least one of them, or is something
It's
like that, like in the first or second book, just have them research about it and
it's in the
include that in
restricted
there.
section.
Yeah,
Which
kind of
doesn't seem
like
that too restricted.
kind of like how, I mean, a good example of this was in the very first book on the Chocolate Frog. It talks about Dumbledore's duel with Grindelwald, and I could have done with some more mentions of this personally as well, but it was there in the first book, and
Yeah.
so it was kind of like a nice little Easter egg there for something later on. I guess in general, like I just would have liked these books to be plotted together a little bit more.
Or I think it would have been cool if we knew the story of the three brothers somehow, if that would have been referenced, but we didn't know I guess how realistic it was. I guess it
Mhm.
could have been brought up in one of their classes in Hogwarts, maybe as they had to write essays about it, but it's just kind of tossed
History
to the
of
side. I
Yeah.
think people are trying to hide that history, so that's why it's not in any of the curriculum books.
I mean, there's reasons why it couldn't have come up. There's also plenty of reasons why it could have come up. I think as a reader, it would have been more fun if it connected a little bit more, because something we've kind of talked about without saying is there's been a lot of info dumps throughout the first part of this book. Makes it a little slow, makes the plot a little disjointed, where there's kind of like going to thing and learning a little bit here and learning a little bit there, but it's just a little bit disjointed and doesn't flow as nicely as some of the other books. I didn't love the first half of this book. I mean, hot take
yeah,
from me.
very slow. I 100% agree with you, Stephen. Very, very slow book. I mean, even not want to get the movies too involved, but the movie is a very, very slow movie. I mean,
Oh yeah,
30 minutes they're just walking.
Follow up question. So you've read this book 30 times, and you said it was your favorite Harry Potter book. Yet you just agreed with me and saying
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
didn't
say the
like
same
it.
thing.
How does that work?
No. I didn't like the first part of the book, but the second part of the book made
The second
up for
part
it.
was so amazing to surpass every other book, despite the first half of the book being a total duffer.
Yes. And I'll explain why in our next podcast in part 2.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
But I think a reason why, and I agree with you, Steven, is that I never got too hung up in this whole side story of, wait, was Dumbledore a bad wizard? And because some of it, the source was Rita Skeeter, who you know that you shouldn't trust. So all of that stuff, even though it's kind of an info dump, you don't really care about it. At least I didn't. And I don't know. I guess I just didn't care that much about what Dumbledore's past was, because I knew that, I guess if J.K. Rowling really wanted to pull the rug from under us, she would have made Dumbledore be questionable at the end, but I don't know how she would have done that. But you kind of know deep down that Dumbledore has to be good. So
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
I don't really invest much thought into that. And I feel like that's what the first half of the book, a lot of the info dumps are related to.
yeah, it was Harry struggling with this idea of Dumbledore. It was interesting to see his history being revealed more and to get more of a look at him. Like he wasn't just this paragon of virtue, and there were a lot of questionable things about his past. But yeah, as a reader, do we ever really question if he's good? Like the guy is good. Sure, he's got a
Mm.
little bit more of a gray past, which is interesting, which I like that she did. But at the same time, yeah, the conflict of good or not, or what's going on here.
I
Yeah.
mean, it did set up to meet like when, in the second part when they met his brother, and they
Yeah.
had the picture of his sister in there. Otherwise, you would have been like, "Who's this old guy?" And they won't have known because they won't have figured it out. It's like this guy looks like Dumbledore. It could be his brother. It could not. Who knows?
Yeah,
And
I
so
mean,
you
we'll talk about
you
this
had to
more.
figure that out.
We'll talk about that portion more in the second half, which is where Nathan will apparently be raving about the book.
100%.
Can I read through my list of Hermione's accomplishments in this
Yeah.
book?
Yeah.
I'm probably missing some, honestly, but I have some bullet points here, starting with her obliviating her parents, making that sacrifice. She's a total boss with Scrimgeour, and like, even though he's the Minister of Magic, just not at all intimidated. She has some really quick comebacks in that scene, and whenever he's giving them the books or the gifts that Dumbledore left. Then she does an amazing job, obviously, of having everything prepared. She's already been practicing spells that are going to be useful to them when they're traveling by themselves. She's the most level-headed of the three, dealing with the locket as they journey through the forest. She gets tortured by Bellatrix, not only withstands it, doesn't give away any information, but steals her hair and then uses it to break into Bellatrix's vault. Extremely boss move right there. What else do I got
So
right here?
Dan, that's in part 2.
Okay, but I can mention, we've been mentioning a lot of things. She is the one that has common sense when they go to Godric's Hall and visiting Bathilda Bagshot. She saves the day there. She knows something is awry. I have no idea how Harry doesn't realize this, by the way. And then
Yeah,
she
the house
talks.
smells like human refuge. And
Harry's the only one that understands.
She talks Harry down after he freaks out about Dumbledore when he finds Skeeter's book and reads about his backstory. She helps them escape Xenophilius Lovegood. Whenever they get caught by the Snatchers, she casts the spell on Harry to make his face swell up. I think I'm missing a couple other things, but she is
as well as just like the
bag.
general day-to-day of keeping this operation together. There's no way Harry and Ron were doing any of the planning. I mean, how did they know where to go, etc.? Like, she probably did everything.
My only negative is
also the bag, that holds
Which
everything.
Yeah,
So
I said that. I said she
Hermione's-
prepared everything before.
Oh, okay. I
Lots
guess
of
that
lots
falls
of
under it.
foresight.
Yeah, she was ready to go at the wedding. I mean, that was a great move. She maybe was the only one who had any inkling that this wedding was a bad idea, and so she came ready to go.
Yeah, my only negative is I think that she had Rita Skeeter right where she wanted her, and I don't want to say that she should have like killed her or something, but there had to have been a way where she took away her powers and made it so that she couldn't return to her career as this pseudo journalist, whatever.
Like
I was
every time
disappointed to see.
every time she attempted to slander, she would have some magical thing happen to her, like a permanent
Yeah,
jinx. Yeah.
Yeah, like the pimples thing
Mm-hmm.
from the Secret Breaker girl.
Yeah, or give her like one of Fred and George's candies or something.
Marietta,
Yeah.
Harrietta, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Nathan probably knows.
I don't know. Nathan didn't know Elpheus Doge.
I did know. I just forgot how to pronounce his name.
Yeah. Okay, maybe last big moment from this before we get into our top and bottom three is the whole Malfoy Manor thing, right? So after this series of events, they're wandering around in the woods forever. We destroy the Horcrux. Ron is back, and then they slip up with Voldemort's name. They get captured by the Snatchers, and off to Malfoy Manor to meet up with our crew, our guys here. A few more characters are finally into the book.
Yeah, they are.
Before we bring up Malfoy Manor, can I just bring up the whole Horcrux when they destroy the Horcrux? How Harry blindly follows the Patronus into the woods by himself, just not telling Hermione where he's going.
Oh,
Bad idea from Harry.
No, he has no other options.
Well, he just blindly follows a Patronus, a doe that could be anyone's Patronus.
Yeah, but
Just
the
like-
doe, right? The doe is.
No. A Gryffindor knows when it's time for a Gryffindor to shine, and that was the time for him to strip off his clothing and jump into the water. He
No,
felt it.
not that part. Not that part. Just
That's the same
following him
part.
blind. Well, yeah, but like just following it into
Just
the
the
woods.
initial
Like, why didn't
decision.
he? Yeah, like why didn't he wake up Hermione and say, "Hey, Hermione, there's something in the woods here. Let's go
No,
follow
he
it."
couldn't do that because the book needed him and Ron to make up and have this
Oh,
moment with them. So Hermione
okay.
couldn't have been part of it. Yeah.
But just a foreshadowing of Snape being good at the end.
Wait, okay, so why is Snape's? How do we feel about the dough? That's, I mean, we'll
Being his
talk a lot more in the
Patronus.
second part about Lily and Snape. How do we
Right.
feel about the dough? It seems so weird. Like, how did he know that that was Lily's Patronus? First of all,
Probably because she cast it in front of him. I don't know.
It's weird.
like,
Something.
Right. I mean, we can
Like,
talk
it is
more
weird.
obviously about the whole Snape Lily thing.
wait, well, we haven't talked about.
I'm in the it's weird camp.
Yeah, I'm definitely there. We haven't talked about Snape either during the first half because
He does a few
you,
things. He gets headmaster.
yeah, which like most awkward faculty meeting ever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
After McGonagall probably knows Flitwick, Slughorn, Sprout.
Yeah, Hogwarts is not the same. Would have been more fun to maybe get some views into that, although we do it towards the end of the book in part 2. He blows off George's ear. I'm guessing he didn't feel bad about that at all.
So no. Apparently, he was casting Sectum Sempra on a Death Eater, though.
He was casting it on a Death Eater, which we find
Oh.
out in part 2.
Yeah, just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang,
But-
I'm trying to do my non-part 2 opinion.
Oh.
No,
Oh,
there there are other questionable moves for sure from Snape, right? In the first part, like, couldn't he have done a better job of being on the good side of the double agent?
I mean, he gave
And
up the intel on when they were moving Harry. Although we do learn in the Patronus, I mean, to go into part 2, Dumbledore told him to do that, but also, I mean, that was tough. That
Why?
was a big thing.
He had already killed Dumbledore. He had already earned the trust of
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. This is an open question,
Yeah.
right? Didn't he already have Voldemort's trust? Why did he have to give up the location? Dumbledore
Harry's.
tells him to do this because, I guess, for plot reasons.
Yeah.
Again, like there's a lot of things where it's just like, well, plot. That's the explanation.
Here's my take. I think Snape wanted. No, actually, no. That's way too hot of a take. But as
Snape
long as
wanted-
he
Snape wanted
as long as
to
he
kill
doesn't
Harry?
feel like he's responsible, I don't know if he. No, he would have minded because he wants Voldemort to be killed.
He would have been fine letting some order members be caught in the crossfire, though.
Yeah, I know. It seems like it.
Like Lupin
But-
goes down. Yeah, that's tough. Too bad.
Don't care.
Snape doesn't care, right?
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not. Probably not about Lupin.
Okay, so let's talk about Malfoy Manor now. Are we ready now?
So I'll begin. This is the first part of the book the first part of the book, the wedding. I really like the wedding part just because it gives Harry and the rest of the characters just a sense of hope that's still out there. But this is where I feel like, I mean, can all agree that this is where the books really takes off here. I don't know,
Okay,
from my
sure.
perspective.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Just because you have other characters stepping in. You have Luna there. You have Mr. Ollivander there.
You have Grip Hook?
Bellatrix.
Oh yeah, I was getting there, and Grip Hook's there.
Dean
Seamus
Thomas.
is Dean is there.
Seamus is not there. Dean is there though.
Seamus not
Oh.
Dean. And then you
Yeah.
have like the whole like Bellatrix, all the Malfoys, Peter Pettigrew's there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
you got
party.
a lot of stuff going on here.
Fun place to be.
Uh-huh.
And for a couple of minutes there, it doesn't look like Harry's going to escape.
Yeah, it does.
No.
My question in this whole scene is why can the Malfoy family not identify Harry? I get that his face is swollen up and stuff, but I mean, come on, guys. You know Hermione, you know Ron.
No,
You know,
well-
you know this dude here with black hair who's about the same size as Harry. Like, if it looks like Harry, if it smells like Harry, it's Harry. It's obviously Harry.
Well, they asked Draco to identify him.
Yeah, but they should have been able to. The parents should have. They've seen Harry.
It's super obvious that it's Harry.
When have they seen Harry?
Steven, I think you're thinking of the movie though. Maybe the
Lucius-
spell in real life, well, in the book, maybe the spell was more convincing.
Well,
or
that's fine. I mean,
distorted the features more.
I can believe that, but I'm
But
saying
still,
no
Ron-
spell. Okay, Lucius has seen Harry. Lucius has seen Harry several times. But I mean, everyone knows what Harry looks like. This dude is the most famous wizard out there, other than Voldemort and Dumbledore. I see no reason why they should not have identified Harry right away.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Steven here, just because, I mean, they have Hermione and Ron. So they can't figure out that that's Harry.
Isn't it just, it's Lucius's place, so if anyone is going to summon Voldemort to come, it has to be Lucius, but he has such PTSD from offending the Dark Lord that he wants to be, he doesn't want to be a 99% sure, because who knows what's going to happen to him.
So this is the explanation that I'll buy. So nice. This brings up the way that Voldemort treats his followers, right? You see this at the very beginning in the prologue when the fear that he inspires. So like Dan was saying, maybe Lucius is 99% sure, which I could buy. Like maybe there's some little grain of doubt, but that grain of doubt is strong enough to the point where we're not going to call Voldemort because we are so scared of what would happen if we were wrong.
Yeah.
So this is not an effective management technique.
Yeah, they should know that Harry Potter by now, master escape artist, like not to take any chances. You got him in your clutches. Don't waste any time.
What about the thing with Wormtail and the silver hand?
Oh,
was this a good enough payoff from the thing that was set up in the fourth book where Dumbledore was like, well, you have him in your debt now? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it is.
Or that might have been the third. That's really the end of the third book, isn't it?
In the third book. Mm-hmm. I feel like it is because, I mean, Peter Pettigrew's portrayed Harry, I mean, a couple times, with his parents, and then Harry lets him go at the end of the third book. Well, he doesn't really let him go. He lets him live. And then he escapes.
But at the same time, it wasn't a moment that only Peter Pettigrew could have filled. I felt like J.K. Rowling was kind of putting this in there like, we got to have the moment where this is important. So we're going to put it here because it could fit here. But at the same time, it wasn't like something that only Pettigrew could have done. I didn't find it that impactful. It's just like, oh, okay, that's how we're going to do it. All right.
I just don't think that Pettigrew was deserving of a ceremonious death at all. I kind of liked how quick it was and how everyone just moved on. Because he didn't deserve anyone's respect. He was just this rat that the dark side and the good side, nobody cared for at all.
Nobody cared for. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of liked it just because he, at the end of the day, he didn't really die on the good side. He didn't die on the bad side. He was kind of there. He paid his debt to Harry.
Yeah. Kind of an ignominious death.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
there's
also nice dollar word.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, Dobby coming in clutch here is very
okay. So Dobby saves the day. How much was Dobby's death impactful to you? I already dissed Mad-Eye Moody and said I didn't care that Moody died. Am I about to diss Dobby as well? What do you think?
You can't diss Dobby. Do not diss Dobby here.
I am too, Steven, and I feel terrible about it, but I just got to acknowledge how I feel. I feel we didn't talk about Hedwig either. I got over Hedwig's death.
dying also.
Yeah.
I got over Hedwig's death in 1 second. Did not faze me at all.
Here's the problem. I don't have enough of emotional attachment to these characters because they've been off screen for so long, or they're just so minor characters that when people are like, I was so broken up over Hedwig dying, like Nathan said, or I was so broken up over Dobby dying, I was like, okay, I know who that character is, but at the same time, like, I don't really care about them. I care about the main things that are going on. So if you're going to bring in this minor character, have him do one thing and then kill him, I don't care that much.
So you got to think. So Dobby, well, one, he just operates into Malfoy Manor like it's nothing, right?
Yeah, that was good.
And yes, he saves Ollivander, Dean, and Luna.
Yeah,
The
can't deny his
villain
performance.
for.
Can't deny his
And
performance.
then
A plus
he
performance.
he comes back, and just the whole connection between him and Harry, where he either calls him Master Harry or Sir Harry or Harry Potter, how can I help serve you? And just that whole scene there, and then just, I mean, this isn't really in the books because I mean you continue reading the books, but in the movie, it just like ends right there after Dobby dies, and you're just like, you have this connection to Harry. It's like, well, Dobby's now dead. Like, how, like, again, just this huge mountain to climb,
Yeah, but
right? And
yeah,
you're
but
just on the bottom of this mountain.
how does Dobby dying add to the mountain at all? Because this dude has nothing to do with the plot of the book that we care about. He's just a guy who comes in, makes some good moves, and he's out. And he's kind of
Well,
cute, so we're supposed to care about him. But at the same time, okay, this changes nothing for me.
Well, no, but it could change if Dobby had survived. Think of all the different stuff that they could have
No,
done with
not
Dobby.
buying that. Not buying that. Dobby's never done anything
I
useful.
I agree
They
with both
could.
of you because I do think that Dobby is underutilized clearly in
Dobby could
earlier
have.
books.
Dobby could have apparated into Gringotts and
Well,
gotten the cup.
Then get Creature to do that. There's plenty of
What-
house elves.
Wow.
Like Steven not valuing the individualism of the house elves and grouping them together. Wait, could
Well,
Dobby
if
have
you're
just
if you're
apparated?
saying
I don't
Wait,
know. If he
I
could
want to
have
challenge
apparated
Nathan
into-
on that. I don't think Dobby could have.
I
apparated
don't
to
know if he could have apparated into Gringotts, but
There's no way.
he could have helped them a lot more throughout the rest of the book for sure.
Okay, so the way that I think about Dobby's death is that he died serving his purpose, which like not what we think his purpose is, but what he thought his purpose was, which was just to protect Harry. That's where he got all of his enjoyment out of life. Like I felt like he had kind of lost his place in society. He wasn't really accepted by the house elves. Obviously, he's not accepted into standard wizarding circles. So really, like, what was he doing with his life other than protecting Harry Potter? He did an awesome job, obviously, died nobly. He was a hero. He was revered. But yeah, like Steven said, I felt like he came and went. He was really annoying for the first few books when he was there. So yeah, I would just kind of wanted to move on with other things that were happening with the plot. I didn't really want to dwell on Dobby for too long after it happened.
All right, way to split the difference there. I think that was a good summation of both sides.
Wait, can we
Okay.
talk about Hedwig though?
Didn't we already talk about Hedwig?
No.
Hagrid
you
died in
guys-
front of a killing curse to save Harry.
You
How
guys
can
have
you
to tell
not
me.
be torn out about that?
You guys have to tell me, why do we care about Hedwig? Why are people so attached to Hedwig? Like
Because
it's just like a stubborn owl.
Because Hedwig
what is-
is
What is Hedwig's moment?
She's a really pretty owl. She brings the mail
he's
really well.
pretty out, and she. So
It's like if you had a really good
Hedwig
dog.
died diving in front,
Yeah, I
diving
mean,
in
we
front of Harry, in front of a killing curse.
yeah, no, way good way to go out. But what Dan's point is like, okay, she's just an owl. Like, there's not that much. It's not like a dog where she's done a bunch of cool things throughout. She just brings the mail. She just brings the mail and looks nice.
It's
She's a
almost
pretty
like a
bird.
dog. No, it's
Yeah.
almost like a dog though.
What other things has she done?
She's been there for Harry.
yes.
She's
Okay,
provided
I
emotional.
just
support.
imagine scenes of.
she
I just
she was
imagine
the
scenes
impetus
of Harry
behind.
with Hedwig.
She was the impetus behind Harry's meeting with Cho Chang at the Owlery. I mean, are we really reaching for Hedwig
like
moments?
all throughout. No, you got to think all throughout summer when
That was
Harry's at the
a
Dudleys,
deep cut, by the way. I forget about that one.
When Harry's at the Dursleys, right? He has no one there for him. He's all he's got is Hedwig.
Okay, that's a good point.
Of all the scenes with Harry and Hedwig during the summer, you can't just say that Hedwig's death isn't emotional for Harry.
I guess I'm just so caught up in defeating the Dark Lord that I don't see why Hedwig makes that much of a difference. especially when Mad Eye dies like a minute later.
I care more about
Oh.
Hedwig than Mad Eye. I care
Oh my
zero about
gosh.
Mad Eye.
Okay, what I've learned from this is that Nathan has the biggest heart out of all of us, but at least I have the second biggest heart.
Yeah, my heart is for sure the
See-
smallest.
What
I think
about
we're
Malfoy
ready
Manor?
to I think we're actually ready to go into our top 3 and bottom 3
Oh,
character rankings, right?
Before we do that, can we just go? So to back to the Malfoy Manor, Harry blatantly just beats up on Malfoy here. Just takes all his wand away from him.
Yeah, Malfoy's pathetic.
Yeah.
And
If only Harry had a boxing glove and could have punched him as well, that would have been perfect.
One guy we didn't talk about, Lupin. He has a little bit of a character arc in
Hey,
this
let's
book. He's one-
I feel like he'll come up in the top 3 and bottom 3.
Oh my
So
gosh.
if
okay.
you want to put him in there, and talk about what he's doing, feel free to. So we're going to close out the episode now that we've talked through the first half of the book with our top 3 and bottom 3 just in this book, not going to part 2, not going to previous books, just to perform the best in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows part 1 as we define it. So starting with our top 3, Nathan, you've been selected to start.
okay, even though we didn't really talk about Godric's Hollow a whole lot, and but number 1 is probably going to be Hermione. She just does outstanding for Harry and
Yeah, she does the
Ron
list
and
that
just-
Dan talked through for sure.
Yeah, Dan mentioned the list. And then number 2 is going to be Dumbledore. And
Okay.
just the
From the grave.
preparation that he gave to Harry in book 6, preparing for telling him about the Horcruxes and everything, and then just leading Ron back to them with the Deluminator. And then number 3 is going to be, I'm gonna say it, and I don't care what other people say, it's gonna be Hedwig.
What?
Hedwig.
It's going to be Hedwig. Because
oh my god.
you gotta think, if Hedwig wasn't there,
This guy
Harry
has
could have
caught the
died.
Christmas spirit too much. His heart is too big.
No, you gotta think, if Hedwig wasn't there to jump in from the killing curse, Harry could have
What?
died in that moment.
Well, if Ron wasn't there, Harry would have gotten choked to death in his underwear in a lake.
No,
There's lots of people saving Harry.
Ron
Also,
will
that was
never
just
be
that
in
was
my
just a
top
plot.
3.
That was just a plot thing. Like the curse didn't have to come. Like there could have not been a curse there. Hedwig didn't need to die. It was just a thing to throw in there to get fools like you to have an emotional
Oh.
reaction.
And Ron will never be in my top 3. Doesn't matter what he does.
I don't even think Hedwig purposely jumped in front of the curse.
It was just
Is that
random.
For
is that
sure.
real?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Remember
It
when
clearly
Fox
states that.
Remember when Fox goes and swallows an Avada Kedavra from Dumbledore? That was a cool bird saved death. That was how you go out if you're a cool bird.
You're talking about a bird that comes back to life. Hedwig does not come back to life.
Yeah, the bird that comes back to life is cooler than the bird that doesn't come back to life.
No. Does Hedwig
For sure,
does Fox,
for sure.
Does Fox give the emotional support to Harry during the summer? No, that's all on Hedwig.
Yeah, Fox cooler than Hedwig. At me on Twitter if this is not true. Okay, Dan, what are your top 3?
Okay, I have 2, but I'm still looking through. I'm always not prepared on this. Number 1 is going to be Hermione for sure, for the reasons that were stated. Number 2 is probably just going to be Harry, and which we didn't talk about. Do I have any extra notes about Harry that we didn't really talk about? I just kind of like how humble he is and how focused on the cause throughout. Like on his birthday, he doesn't care about his birthday at all. When the trace gets lifted, he does some boring spells and he calls it good. He knows he has bigger fish to fry. He does an awesome job telling off Lupin. I know, Steven, you're going to talk about Lupin in a little bit, but I also think he shows a lot of maturity with Creature in this book and a lot of humility and treating Creature, like forgiving him for being partly responsible for Sirius's death.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene in the Ministry when he when he jumps into action and stuns Umbridge, and they end up getting the Horcrux. I thought that was awesome.
Maybe that was something I had as a negative for Harry, actually. The
'Cause-
impulsivity to jump at Umbridge in a situation where you're probably not going to come out on top. I don't know about that.
But I think that the option is what you walk away and then you have to try again the next day. You just have to keep trying.
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not? You can do the same thing. Polyjuice Potion it up again.
Well, hindsight is 2020 and it worked.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it fits his character.
And okay, speaking of Polyjuice Potion, I think the first half of this book could just be called Harry Potter and the Polyjuice Potion as a side note.
Polyjuice Potion is very useful, we've learned.
Yeah, it used to be super hard to make and super rare. You had to sneak into people's shops to get it,
but now it's
we just
super
got
easy.
loads.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many times do we get it? Is it I can think of 3 times. Am I missing any?
No, three times. First
The wedding,
part,
the
wedding,
Potters, and the Ministry
the
infiltration.
Ministry. Mm-hmm.
Okay, my third most valuable character, or I guess best character, it's gonna be really hard. I'm gonna kind of cop out. I'm gonna say Hagrid just for the motorbike scene. I know that's not the right answer. I just can't think of anything else.
I don't have any hot takes. I'm gonna put
Oh
Voldemort.
no. Wait. I'm gonna say Dobby. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say Dobby. Okay, go, Steven.
All right. I'm gonna go Voldemort is going into my top 3. Not number one, but he does have some good moments. I mean, he has some less good moments, but he's making some good progress. I'll slot him in at number 3, and then number 2. I'm not gonna have hot takes here. I'm gonna say Harry Potter. Harry Potter number 2, Hermione number 1. We've talked about these guys to death. There's not that many. There's not that many characters who do a good job, right? Like we're mostly just following the trio.
Nathan, did you put Dobby in your top 3?
No, Dobby's not my top 3.
Okay,
No,
we gotta
Hedwig.
show respect to Dobby. I definitely replace Hagrid with Dobby in my top 3.
Dobby's like number 4 for me for sure.
All right, let's hear some bottom 3s now, Nathan.
So before we get to bottom 3, just honorable mention, my top 3 is RAB, Regulus Archer's Black, just because he gets the locket out and stands up against the Death Eaters.
Yeah, dude was pretty cool. Actually, once we get the backstory with Creature.
Yeah.
Another info dump though. Yeah,
I just wanted to put him out there just because we didn't talk about him.
I think he's a really cool foil to Sirius because in a lot of ways they're similar. They have similar passions, but Sirius is passionate for his friends, whereas RAB does anything for his family. But yeah, I think it would be cool to know more about his backstory, like what he was like at Hogwarts. There's probably fan fictions.
Okay, anyway, so bottom 3. So number 1 is going to be Ron.
Saw that coming.
Oh my goodness, just because he just leaves Harry. I just feel like if your best friend is destined to fight Voldemort, you can't leave him no matter what. I don't know, just talk it out. Number 2 is gonna be the Weasleys.
Just all
the wedding,
just the clan. Oh, I talked you into hating on the wedding.
No, I don't hate the wedding as much as you do, Steven, but I do find it kind of odd that they had it at that time.
So why don't you group Ron in with the Weasleys?
Because
he was even worse.
He's even worse.
I still don't get why the other Weasleys were bad, in your opinion.
Because of the irresponsibility of the wedding scheduling.
Gotcha. Okay.
The inability to shift to Zoom for the wedding.
Yeah. And then number 3 is going to be, I'm going to say the Malfoys. I'm kind of with Steven on this, especially Draco, Lucius. I felt like they could have recognized and could have thought that Harry was going to be with Hermione and Ron. It didn't matter what he looked like. They should have recognized that he was going to be with them, and they could have called the Dark Lord no matter what. Even if Harry wasn't with them, they captured Ron and Hermione known associates of Harry and have Voldemort interrogate them, find out where Harry was.
Yeah. And also just letting them escape via their own former house elf. Just like really
Yeah,
bad.
Escaping with a bunch of wands too.
with a bunch of wands,
Yeah.
their own wands.
Malfoy Manor, tough home court there. No advantage to the home court team.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, let's hear your bottom three.
Okay, number 3 is Mrs. Weasley. I'm gonna zone in on that because of the wedding, and also because she has no trust for Harry, Ron, and Hermione to be able to act as adults, despite their many accomplishments. She has this weird thing where she assigns them to do chores nonstop for 3 days before the wedding, so much to the point where they have no free time to talk to each other, which is pretty crazy. Number 2 is Nagini. Nagini had Harry point blank range, does not deliver the kill.
Uh-huh.
No idea how that doesn't happen.
Kind of like
Well, you gotta
the
think
Lord of the
that
Rings.
Nagini's
Yeah, like the Lord of the Rings scene on Weathertop
wait.
with all the ring wraiths surrounding Sam and Frodo. Let's go.
Sure.
Well, you got to think Nagini is not intended to kill. Voldemort wants to kill Harry, right? And so,
Well, then
Well, can she
impale
not
him,
like
disable him.
cast rap? Use
Cast
the rap
rap?
move.
Oh,
cast rap. Is that a Pokemon
Ekans.
reference you got, Steven?
I just combined Pokemon and Harry
Charbaka.
Potter. I know. Hey, for
Cast
listeners, I know that you don't cast Pokemon moves. It was a combination
whatever,
of the two.
Steven.
Maybe-
Okay. Yeah. Number 1 for me is Dumbledore. Going right
wow.
against Nathan.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just kind of sick of Dumbledore's like whimsical riddle leaving. Like I just really wish he would have given direct instructions. Like, hey, you guys are in my will, and these are the gifts that I left you are a book and a light switch and a thing that that works only if you're dead. So I just like leave some instructions somehow. He's a smart enough wizard. Like there has to be an equivalent of a, what do you call the thing that you put in the ground and then you dig it up, like a time capsule? That's what I was gonna say. Like there's got to be some message that you can program for a later date to pop up. If you didn't think Harry was ready at the time, then estimate when
Could
he would
he
be
not
ready.
have? So what you're describing is basically a pensieve. Could he not have given some
Boom.
instructions or something? Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
or giving Harry a pensieve.
I guess he was just very concerned about the information somehow falling in Voldemort's hands, which is understandable. It's hard to guarantee that the information will go to Harry, given the competency of Harry and the Death Eaters, etc. Like there's a lot of forces against. It's tough, especially if you're dead.
Or yeah, I don't understand why Harry had to wait so long to learn about the Deathly Hallows, and that's why Dumbledore's number 1.
That could have come up in the previous book, which is something I mentioned. This thing should have been foreshadowed more. Okay, my bottom 3. There's actually a lot of characters who could wind up in the bottom 3. So I have the benefit of going last. I can throw in whoever. Malfoy family was mentioned already. They were on my roster of potential bottom 3s. I'm gonna throw in Scrimgeour on there because dude was a jerk and he died immediately afterwards. I don't know how the Ministry takeover went down, but I can't imagine Scrimgeour did very well. Like I imagine he was taken down by some third-rate Death Eater. Maybe Pettigrew was able to take him down somehow.
Maybe Dolohov, who Harry defeated like really nonchalantly without any warning.
Dolohov was the dude that messed up Hermione in the 5th book, right?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah,
we got a history with Dolohov.
Yeah, we don't like Dolohov. Maybe Yaxley. Yaxley could have. I'm just throwing out Death Eater names that I know that actually do stuff. All right. I don't know how you guys didn't get Lupin on your bottom 3.
Well, because I knew you were gonna say him.
Yeah, so he's bottom 3 material for sure. Continues to show zero trust for Harry. Is willing to abandon his wife and unborn child because he doesn't think the fight is worth fighting and there is no hope. I mean, I get that the order represents this conflict with Harry, but I'm just disappointed that the adults, like the only adult that has any sense of hope and like there's a possibility we come out on top here is Dumbledore, who's dead, and Harry has to kind of carry the torch single-handedly here. Why can he not get any support from anyone else? Lupin was a big disappointment. Seems like he could have filled some
Agreed.
kind of mentor role. I mean, he was
I don't know.
cool
I liked
previously.
Lupin.
You liked him when he came in and said, "I'm willing to abandon my wife and child to help you out." You don't need to tell me what you're doing, Harry.
You
Just know that I'll do it. And I don't have much faith in any of this working out, but
Yeah, he
here
turns
I
into
am.
a child.
I
It's
just feel like
embarrassing.
Lupin, he failed to help Harry and or James and Lily. He's got to feel like he's got to protect Harry somehow, and this is the only way he knows how to do it. And so he doesn't do it in the best way, but
Yeah, he does it
I
in the
feel
worst
like-
way, which is why he's on the bottom three. All right, my final bottom three member is Xenophilius. Xenophilius, who I get that Luna is being held, and yeah, like for sure that's a bit of an issue. But I mean, come on, man, you're selling out to the Death Eaters for Harry
Big
Potter.
time sellout.
You know that Harry Potter is your
time.
only hope here. This is way low. This is way low. How do you have any trust that the Death Eaters will give Luna back to you? This smacks of desperation, and it's a terrible move. And Xenophilius, bottom three member.
yeah.
I thought there were a lot more choices for bottom three than top three. This was very much so. At least the first half is a big three book, despite Nathan putting Ron as number one on this bottom three. Actually,
The first half of the book is pretty bleak. Like you said, the dominoes keep on falling. Things are going
Yeah.
very poorly. Overall, things go very poorly.
yeah, Ministry gets taken over. Harry's wand breaks. Voldemort gains power. It's all.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Harry's wand breaking and then flipping out on Hermione afterwards. That was a bad moment for Harry.
Yeah. Again, he takes one step forward and two steps back.
I don't know about that. It's more
Yeah.
like it's like a step and a half forward and one step back or something. He's slowly getting closer to doing something. All right. So that wraps up our review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Good thing we split it up because we're already going on an hour and a half, and that was only half the book.
Nice.
So tune
You did it,
into
guys.
our next
was
half.
great.
Tune into our next half review, which will be out soon.
On Potter
Again,
Watch.
Yeah, on Potter Watch.
What's the password for Potter Watch for next time?
I'll have to remember what I ate last Friday, or Dan's not going to do another podcast with me.
Can be. I don't know any fun words from this one. Blanking on it.
All right, the password will be Mundungus, who somehow didn't end up in the bottom three, even though Dan hated on him at the beginning of
Oh,
the
I
episode.
forgot about Mundungus.
All right,
Why
if
is
you
he
want
around?
if you
Why
want to hear
is he
more from
around?
Phantology, you can do that at www.phantologybooks.com and support the show at patreon.com/phantology_books. All right, guys. Pottermore out.
All right, see ya.
Yep.